What's going on, everyone? It's been quite a bit since I've posted a video. My last video was on the Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl. The Seahawks end up winning. Obviously, I didn't even really talk about that. But this video is not going to be talking about the NFL. It's going to be the NBA playoffs. I'm going to be predicting my playoff predictions for all the NBA games for the playoffs. And before I start this, I'm not really a huge NBA watcher. I'm kind of just a casual viewer. So if you guys think that I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about, maybe, because I don't really watch it that much. But I figured I'd do one because it starts tomorrow and we still got play-in games tonight if you're watching this before those start. But yeah, we'll hop right into it. So we'll start off with the Western Conference. Before this starts, I'll say that the Warriors beat the Suns in the play-in game tonight. And I just think that Draymond Green and Steph Curry are better than, the Suns. I don't think the Suns are that good. And I think the Warriors are going to just overpower them. And these are the teams that I think are actually going to win in the actual playoffs. Because the play-in isn't really the playoffs. But I have the Thunder winning, obviously. I'll probably have them winning in like 5. I probably say the Rockets win too, just because Luka being injured really hurts the Lakers. They also don't have Austin Reeves either, so that could hurt them too. And I have the Nuggets winning against the Timberwolves. I think the Nuggets are a bit injured right now. Jokic had his injury. Jamal Murray was banged up, Not great, but they should be healthy for these playoffs, and I think that they will beat the Timberwolves. And then the Spurs, I think they'll beat the Trailblazers. Victor Wembanyama's been arguably the best player all year, and I think he's going to make sure that his team is able to beat the Trailblazers. All right, and we'll go to the Eastern Conference, and we'll start off. I think the Hornets will beat the Magic in the play-in tonight. I think the Magic honestly suck. But the Hornets, at the very least, have LaMelo Ball, and I think he's going to make sure that, they beat the Magic. And for the actual games, I think that the Pistons are going to beat the Hornets if that hypothetically happens. I don't think that's going to be particularly close. The Pistons have been great all year. The only question is how they'll be in the playoffs, and we'll see if they can beat their easiest matchup, which will be either the Hornets or Magic. And then the game one for the Cavs and the Raptors, I have the Cavaliers winning that one. I think the Cavs are a great team. They have Donovan Mitchell. He's really good. They have James Harden, who is a little iffy in the playoffs, but I think that veteran leadership will help them out a little bit. And then the Knicks and the Hawks, I do have the Knicks winning that game. That one could honestly go either way. But I think Jalen Brunson's a pretty solid player. I think the Knicks usually win their first 2 games in the playoffs and then lose in the conference finals. We'll see if they do that, but I think they'll at the very least win their first game. And then no shocker, I have the Celtics being the 76ers. Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. I don't think it's to be enough to beat a team led by Jaylen Brown, who I said Wembanyama might have been the best player this year. It might be Jaylen Brown. I haven't really been paying that much attention, but I've heard he's really good. And yeah, I'm going to say the Celtics take that one. And with that, we'll hop to our second round. And so for hypothetical conference semifinals for the West side, we have the Rockets versus the Thunder and the Nuggets versus the Spurs. One matchup, in my opinion, is pretty obvious, and then other one is actually pretty enticing. The obvious one's the Thunder. I think the Thunder are probably going to win this one pretty easily. And the Nuggets and Spurs, it's interesting because the Spurs are probably the better team, but the Nuggets have significantly more playoff experience with this current roster. And I think that's going to play a factor in this game. The Rockets, Thunder, that game's whatever. I think the Thunder will win that game in 5. And the Nuggets and Spurs, I think it's going to come down to a game 7. And I think it's going to go to the Nuggets. I think they're going to get past the conference semifinals for the first time since they won their championship 3 years ago. And so, yeah, my final prediction, Thunder in 5 and the Nuggets in 7. All right, next up, we have 2 pretty good matchups, in my opinion, in the Eastern Conference semifinals between the Cavaliers and Pistons and the Knicks and the Celtics. You got the rematch from last year for the conference semifinals between the Knicks and the Celtics, where Jason Tatum unfortunately suffered a pretty serious injury. And you got the Cavaliers, who were the 1 seed last year, taking on the current 1 seed this year. And, both of these, I'm looking forward to, assuming both of these happen, I will be looking forward to both of these matchups. And I think for the Cavaliers and the Pistons, I think experience is going to play a big role. And I'm not saying experience is literally everything, but at the same time, it does play a factor. And I think you've got LaMelo Ball on the Pistons. He's really good, and he's been one of the best players this season. But on the Cavaliers, you've got Donovan Mitchell, you've got James Harden. They got some solid players too. Sorry, I don't know much about the NBA. This isn't the NFL where I know like every player, so bear with me here. Then the Knicks, you got Jalen Brunson, who's pretty solid. And then on the Celtics, you've got absolutely insane roster of players. You've got Jason Tatum, you've got Jaylen Brown, you've got Derek White, you've got Tingus Pingus. He's pretty solid when he needs to be. Probably a player or two that I need to know that I forgot about, but they're a really, really well-rounded team. And I think that the Celtics are going to beat the Knicks. I think they're going to win in 6. I think they're going to get revenge for last year. And then the Cavaliers, I actually think they're going to beat the Pistons. I think they're going to do what was done to them last year by the Pacers to the Pistons this year and win in 7. So, yeah, I got the Cavaliers winning in 7 and the Celtics winning in 6. All right, and that brings us to our hypothetical conference finals. You have the Nuggets taking on the Thunder and the Cavaliers taking on the Celtics. 2 really good matchups, if I'm being honest. I hope these are the matchups because these are both really good. And as for the Nuggets and Thunder, it's a rematch of the conference semifinals from when they played last year. The Thunder beat the Nuggets in 7, and we'll see if the Nuggets can get revenge for that. And I hope they can. And as for the Cavaliers and the Celtics, you've got the Celtics, another well-rounded team. Like I said earlier, you got the Cavaliers, who are were the 1 seed last year, and hypothetically would have upset the 1 seed this year, which would mean that they are on a hot streak right now if they're able to beat the hypothetical best team in their conference. So yeah, 2 really enticing matchups. I wouldn't be surprised if both these games went to Game 7s just because of how competitive I think both of these would be. And we'll start with the Nuggets and Thunder. I think this will go to Game 7. I know I've done a lot of Game 7s, but it's just been a lot of really good games. And, usually it takes 7 games to take really good games, determine them. I think that Game 7, I think it's going to be, I'll get really specific here. I think Nuggets will be down by 2 with 3 seconds left. I think they're going to give the ball to their guy, Nikola Jokic, and he's going to hit a buzzer beater for the win and beat the Thunder 101-100 and advance to their first finals since 2023. And as for the Cavaliers and the Celtics, I don't think it will go to Game 7, unfortunately. I think that it'll go to, I'll say Game 6, just because I do want to give the Cavs some credit. But at the same time, I don't necessarily trust James Harden that much in the playoffs because he is kind of a playoff choker. And I know he's not like the best player on the team or anything. It's obviously Donovan Mitchell, but I think that could rear its ugly head if the Cavaliers, let it. And I think, unfortunately, the Celtics are going to be able to expose that. So I'm going to take the Celtics to win this in 6. I'll say they win their Game 6 like 120-105. I had to get specific since I did for the Nuggets and Thunder. So yeah, all right, so yeah, I just recapped this, but Nuggets 1 in 7, Celtics 1 in 6, so that would get a finals matchup of Nuggets versus Celtics. It'd have the Celtics as the home team since they're the 2 seed, and the Nuggets are the 3 seed. So we'll go ahead and set that up real quick, not too much there. But yeah, I have the Nuggets. These are 2 teams that, in my opinion, are both very well-rounded. And if you guys couldn't tell, I am a Nuggets fan, so if you guys think of me in bias, that might be true. But, it's true. Nikola Jokic, we've got Jamal Murray, we've got Aaron Gordon, we've got Christian Brown, we've got, a lot of guys that I should probably know, but I don't because I'm an NFL guy. And the Celtics, I already mentioned them. They've got a lot of depth as well. I think this is going to be a pretty good finals. I mean, it could be, I don't think it'll be as good as last year's finals, up until the injury to Tyrese Halliburton, but I think it'll be a solid finals. I think that it's another game. I've said this over and over, but it could go to game 7, and usually that's a good sign when it can go to game 7. And I think I'm going to go with the Nuggets here. I think I'm going to go with my guys. I think this could be a year where we get it done. I mean, I feel like we just haven't been able to get past the conference semifinals the last 2 years, and I think that's just been our biggest issue. But in this hypothetical scenario, we do get past the conference semifinals. So, yeah, I think we can just win this game. I think it probably will go to game 7 just because of the Nuggets. And if you know anything about the Nuggets, they just love bringing games out to game 7. I think they'll do just that. And we'll see. Let's think of a hypothetical scenario on the spot here. I think it'll be Nuggets are down by 1. And they shoot a half court. Jamal Murray shoots a half quarter with 5 seconds to go. And he makes it, making the Nuggets up by 2. And then the Celtics, they'll shoot their own full court shot, for the win in desperation. The ball will look like it's going to go in, but bounce out at the last second, securing the Nuggets' second championship. Yeah, I know, super dramatic, but that's how I roll on this channel sometimes. So yeah, the Denver Nuggets are going to win their second championship, and they are going to be the 2025-2026 NBA champions. Folks, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, consider subscribing maybe, and I'll definitely get back to NFL. I'm going to do a mock NFL draft at some point in the next couple of days. And sorry for my random absence. I try not to do that, but sometimes things just happen. But, I'll get back to posting. I miss doing it, and it was fun making this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And, I'll see you guys in the next video.